John Boyega just pitched a better sequel trilogy concept in 30 seconds than anything Disney Star Wars was able to come up with over a 7-year span. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
You know, sometimes I sit back and I think about what if Luke Skywalker was not portrayed as a loser in the sequel trilogy? What if Han Solo wasn't a deadbeat dad who was killed by his mentally unstable fanboy son? What if Princess Leia had never floated through space like Mary Poppins? Hell, what if these three characters actually shared a scene together? What if the sequel trilogy took at least some inspiration from the Star Wars expanded universe? Or more importantly, what if Disney took advantage of the sequel trilogy scripts that George Lucas handed over to them? Now I know what you're thinking, that's a lot of what ifs, but you can't help but think about what ifs when one of your favorite all-time franchises is mishandled in the way that Star Wars has been mishandled.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
And that's where we find ourselves right now. And the funniest part about all of this is that I don't even talk about Star Wars much anymore, mostly because I don't care, which is sad to say the least. But when I do choose to dip back in, I still have people telling me that I'm wrong, telling me that I'm a hater, and telling me that I'm toxic, and strangely enough, just the other day, someone even called me a George Lucas glazer. Imagine calling yourself a Star Wars fan when you are actively criticizing someone for showing respect to the person who is responsible for this franchise existing in the first place.
I don't get it.
Pretty much tells you everything you need to know about your average modern Star Wars fan now, doesn't it? I'd much rather be called a George Lucas glazer than a Disney Star Wars rider, but I digress. My question is, what happens when someone who was actually involved with the sequel trilogy indirectly criticizes it? Would that person be considered a grifter and toxic as well? I'm asking for a friend. Maybe, just maybe, some of the people who adamantly support Disney Star Wars are exhibiting a little bit of that toxic positivity that we like to talk about. Maybe, just maybe, someone like John Boyega is speaking from a place of common sense and love for the original franchise and characters, something to think about. John Boyega was asked recently what he would do if he could remake the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And this is how he responded. It would be mad. First of all, we're not getting rid of Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, all of these people. We're not doing that. The first thing we're going to do is fulfill their story, fulfill their legacy. We're going to make a good moment of handing on the baton. Does this not sound suspiciously like the same things that the so-called toxic Star Wars fans have been asking for years?
Something very familiar about all this.
How hard would it have been to show Luke Skywalker as the badass Jedi that he should have been? And maybe even showing him rebuilding the Jedi Order from the ground up. How hard would it have been to show Han Solo's character growth since we've seen him last? Showing him as a leader, as a family man, a stark contrast to the person that we first met back in 77. All of this would have been better rather than just reverting him back to factory settings like Disney Star Wars did.
You're pathetically predictable.
How about not using legacy characters to prop up your inferior new characters? John Boyega is speaking from a position that has some level of love and respect for these characters, something that the people making the sequel trilogy we got clearly did not have. He continued, "Our new characters will not be overpowered in these movies. They won't just grab stuff and know what to do with it. No, you've got to struggle, like every other character in the franchise." Is this not a direct criticism that echoes the criticisms that a lot of people have had about the character of Rey from day one? It's not enough to just put a character on the screen and tell us that she is the future of Star Wars. You have to build that character properly in story into something that people can get behind. And that never happened with the character of Rey, and it never happened with the character of Finn. And the funniest part is that a lot of people were begging for it. We actually wanted to like these characters, but Disney Lucasfilm never gave us a reason to. Rey being able to do what she was able to do without going through any kind of struggle is precisely what turned people against her. Taking what should have been an interesting character in Finn and turning him into a bumbling sidekick turned people against him. Now, I don't always agree with everything that John Boyega says because he has said some questionable things in the past. But that does not negate the fact that he is 100% correct about this in particular. And if I didn't know any better, based on his comments here, I would say that he probably feels some type of way about how the sequel trilogy exists as we know it right now, and he should. They did his character, as well as this entire universe, a disservice by not having a sound plan for an entire trilogy going in.
It's true.
Boyega went on to talk about his love of the Old Republic stories, The Force Unleashed, and how he would try to expand the Star Wars universe as much as possible while respecting the lore. Saying, quote, "We have to do it within the respective boundaries that stay true. Not undermining what came before, showing respect for the lore, two things that Disney Star Wars clearly had no interest in doing." And how are some people responding to John Boyega's opinion? Pretty much exactly what you would expect from the toxic positivity crowd. How many years is he going to complain about this? Bro is hurting. Wow, that's original. Literally any fan could have said that. His 15 minutes are up. The Karen is strong with this one. He needs to seriously shut up now.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Ah yes, the telltale sign that you are dealing with a toxic Disney Star Wars fan. They will tell you to shut up if you are not telling them what they want to hear. Yet another example of everyone loves you until you say something they don't agree with. Proof that nobody is safe from the fragile egos of fanboys, and apparently John Boyega is no exception to that.
Y'all be cool. Right on.